coyotes. I'm meteorologist John Weatherby.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth. And if you're just tuning in for the very first time, we're a show about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And we've been coming at you, now we're in our fifth year, hard to believe. And we're coming at you live right now from the Scottsdale Airpark Money Radio Studios. It is February 9th. And we are having one of those Chamber of Commerce days. It's absolutely beautiful here. The Phoenix Open has now left, or should I call it the Waste Management Open has now left. And, you know, we got many events that are happening here in our state, but we're really queuing up for spring training, which really starts right at the end of the month and runs all the way up to April. So we're really excited about our Diamondbacks because we haven't had a whole lot to root for on our other teams. So baseball's getting ready, springtime is here, and all is well. And at the same time, we're having a lot of activity happening in our legislature. For those that didn't stay up late last night, Congress finally got the bill, spending bill, approved. It was nearly an act of God to get that done. But also as it relates to legislature, this is the time where bills are being dropped, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the bills that are coming up. And it's also getting very interesting in the healthcare space. In the last 60 days, so much has happened. You know, I've talked about it here on the show, but I mean, the fact that CVS bought Aetna and Humana is now being bought by Kindred. And then we heard last week about Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway coming together with Amazon and Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan to really reshape the way healthcare is being delivered. And then to top everything off, last Thursday night, CMS, for those that don't know what CMS is Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, announced that Medicare Advantage plans starting January 1st, 2019, will start to pay for the services that companies like Cypress HomeCare provide. And we're talking about in-home care services. So for me, it's a real tribute to the fact that CMS and others are finally realizing the work that we do in the home, enabling our older adult population to exist as close as they can to being independent. It's so important. It's important for many reasons. We know that 92% of individuals want to age in place. And then we also know that the least costly setting for someone to be in is in their own home. So thank you, CMS, for realizing that. We're going to see how that's all going to look in the weeks and months to come, because that's going to start January 1st, 2019. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, our show is about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. But how do we do this? We bring extraordinary guests, and today's no different. Today I'm very happy to welcome to the show Joan Koerber-Walker. She's the president and CEO of the Arizona Bioindustry Association, acronym AZ Bio. Welcome to the show, Joan.
Well, thank you so much, Bob. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. And one, I've always been a fan of yours, and I've only gotten a chance to get to know you over the last couple of years. And two, I love your name because my mother's name was Joan. So welcome to the show. And Joan, it's great to have you here on today.
Well, thank you, Bob.
You know, so much activity is happening. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I want to be able to pivot it over to you because you just, you know, had a big event happen last month. And you're celebrating an anniversary.
Yeah, we are. So AZBio, or the Arizona Bioindustry Association, for your listeners, to help them kind of understand what that is. So it's kind of like a chamber of commerce. And we work with all of the researchers at the universities and the hospitals, as well as the entrepreneurs that are coming up with great ideas to help us live longer and live better, and the big drug companies and medical device companies who provide the products that allow us to, get around and participate in life and spend more time with our grandkids. So AZBio supports all of those groups.
Wow. I mean, I did not know that. I really didn't realize the web and the net that is casted by the AZBio group.
It's interesting. When we first started this, and it was Governor Hall that created the bioscience cluster 20 years ago last year.
Wow.
And since then, there's been over $18 billion invested in Arizona, building new hospitals and research facilities and bringing new companies to life. Abraxane, the cancer drug that helps so many patients, is not only developed here and tested here, but it's made here too. And Medtronic, lots of you listeners probably have a pacemaker.
Right.
And all of the electronics that go into those pacemakers is made right in Tempe, right at the corner of University and the 143.
Wow. Did not know that.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Well, it's really cool, too. And I mean, it might be a week or two when I haven't driven a certain road, or maybe a month. Mm-hmm. And I'm driving down to Central Phoenix, and I'm talking about down by Van Buren and 5th Street, 7th Street, 3rd Street, seeing apartments go up, seeing university buildings going up. Last year I got a chance to go into the University of Arizona Medical Building in one of those classrooms when the fast-pitch startups were out there. It is amazing how this town in the last 10 years, especially downtown, has just transformed itself.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember in 2006, I was the CEO of the Arizona Small Business Association, and my office was right on Van Buren. And there were certain times a day where you didn't really want to drive down Van Buren, let alone walk down Van Buren.
Right.
Today, we have, Gateway Community College has just blossomed. The Center for Entrepreneurial and Innovation has entrepreneurs in it, and we're seeing a whole revitalization across that community.
Well, and I understand there's like 10,000 students that live downtown now. And
That's right.
I mean, I see apartment complexes going up, restaurants going up. I mean, when I first moved here 24 years ago, the town evacuated at 5 o'clock.
Right. Nobody
went downtown. The only time you went downtown was to see a Suns game, or when the Coyotes first got here.
Right.
That was it. I mean, if you were caught downtown, you better be careful. But now it is just buzzing, and I think a lot of it has to do with the work that AZBio is doing and the universities are doing down there. It is amazing. And talk about AZBio. I mean, TGen is right there.
And you know what? After the break, we can talk about all the cool things that are actually being developed there right now.
Well, that is really cool. I mean, Joan, it's a pleasure to have you on. I'm just saddened that we only have 4 segments because we have so much to cover. But I look forward to getting into our second segment, learning a little bit more about what is going on in AZBio and what is going on in our community. This here, Phoenix, is a hub, and there's a lot of stuff going on here. So we're going to take a break right now. You're listening to a little Bruce Springsteen taking us out, so thank you very much, James. You've been listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. I've got Joan Koerber-Walker. She's the president and CEO from AZBio here in the studio. We will be right back.
Bill Gunderson's nationwide Best Stocks radio show is now on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. Every morning from 9 to 10 a.m., professional money manager Bill Gunderson will talk about the economy, markets, and the best stocks now. Bill Gunderson is also the inventor of the Best Stocks Now app and the writer of the weekly Best Stocks Now newsletter. If you like to invest in the markets, this is the show for you. You will not want to miss one episode. Visit GundersonCapital.com for more info. That's GundersonCapital.com.
Would you know what to do if you encounter a wrong-way driver? Let's hope you never find out. But if you ever do see a wrong-way driver coming at you, slow down, safely steer away, and get off the roadway. At night, drive defensively and be aware of what's ahead and around you. And if you see a sign warning of a wrong-way driver, safely move toward and take the next freeway exit on the right. Drive aware. Get there. Sponsored by the Arizona Department of Transportation in partnership with the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
What's your IRS problem? Do you owe back taxes? Is there a lien placed on your property? Have your bank accounts been frozen or seized? Have your wages been garnished? Are you being audited by the IRS? Are they sending you letters that demand actions and have urgent due dates? Well, solving your tax problems is as easy as calling Taxes 321. The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world. You need the best representation to give you peace of mind. You need experienced professionals that can cut through the red tape and stop the collection process. If you have a serious problem with the IRS, call the Taxes 321 network today. We'll get them off your back.
800-203-3517, 800-203-3517, 800-203-3517, 800-203-3517.
Get a free box spring or $600 off a Beauty Rest adjustable base with purchase of select mattresses at the Beauty Rest for Less event. Visit BeautyRestRetailers.com. Get your Beauty Rest at Sleep System in Phoenix.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, you're listening, first of all, Health Futures, taking stock in you. And if you're just tuning in, I've got Joan Koerber-Walker in the studio. She is from AZ Bio, and that's Arizona Bio Industry Association. She's the president and CEO. And we are in our second segment. You can catch that first segment right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. Hit the drop-down arrow on the media button, and we're the third button down. You can catch that first segment and about 180 or 90 others that we've been bringing to you for almost 5 years. So, Joan, we were talking about, in the first segment, you had a 20th anniversary. And,
That's right.
And 20 years you guys been at it. And we were talking about how the landscape of Phoenix has changed. Mm-hmm. And I know personally, I go back to the mid-'90s where I was working with a fellow by the name of Dick Mallory, who was one of the founding partners of, or one of the managing partners of Snell and Wilmer. Mm-hmm. And he had a beautiful wife, Franny was her name, and she had cancer. Yeah. And he didn't get treatment, or she didn't get treatment here in Phoenix. She had to drive a couple times a week down to U of A to Tucson to get treatment. And I know he was an integral part of creating a lot of the bioscience stuff that has happened in Phoenix. So 20 years. I want you to talk a little bit about what's happened in 20 years.
Absolutely. And, Dick and Francie's love story, and it's, Valentine's Day is around the corner. There's never a good time for a patient that is battling cancer. And, towards the end, it's harder, especially on the ones that you love. And Dr. David Albert, who was Francie's doctor, was very, very close to the family. And thanks to his care, she got 2 extra years and she got to see her son get married and wonderful things. But towards the end, she said to Dick, he said, "What can I do?" And she said, "Use what you've been given to make sure this doesn't happen to somebody else." And it was Dr. David Albert and Dr. Dan Von Hoff and Dick and others that came together to go and see Jeff Trent and say, "We want the first translational genomics research institute here in Arizona. What will it take?"
Wow.
And Jeff said, "Well, it's going to take $100 million. And they left, and I kind of think that he didn't think they'd be back. But as legend will have it, there were 100 meetings in 100 days, and that team raised $100 million, and TGen was born.
Wow.
And that was the start of the Phoenix Biomedical Campus. Everything you see there, including the Arizona Cancer Center, so that patients like Francie don't have to drive to Tucson anymore.
Right.
All of that came about because some people in Arizona cared deeply and had a big goal, and they hit it. And you know what? Now we have another big goal, and we're doubling down. Now Arizona's community has set a goal to create a $200 million endowment. And when it's properly invested, that will bring $10 million a year back into our community so that young companies that are coming up with great ideas will have that early funding so that those cures and treatments get to patients faster.
How exciting. How exciting. I mean, and to think that that was the genesis of what we have here. And now, we've got Cancer Treatment Centers of America. We've got Honor Health with Virginia Piper Cancer Center. We've got MD Anderson and Banner. I mean, we have so much here now.
And Mayo.
And Mayo. I forgot to mention Mayo. And, of course, Mayo. But, I mean, we have so much here. And to think that was just like 22 years ago, that there was really nothing here.
Well, we had some great hospitals here. I mean, our oldest hospital is St. Joe's. Did you know that St. Joseph's Hospital in Phoenix, now Dignity Health is, it was the 5th largest hospital system in the country. Now they're merging with Catholic Healthcare, and they will be the 2nd or 3rd. But did you know that Dignity St. Joseph's, right over on 3rd,
right,
they do more clinical trials at that facility than any other hospital in the entire Dignity network?
Did not know that.
Yep. But in cancer, and especially in things that involve the brain, because they have Barrow Neurological, which is one of the top institutes in the whole world for that.
People come in from all over the world to get treatment there.
They sure do. And then you add to it the Arizona Alzheimer's Consortium, which is one of the leading consortiums in the world for the study, not only of the disease itself, but how we can prevent it. Because as I get older, one of the things that I worry about is that. And as we look at, the policy for the world and, quite frankly, the budget for the world, if we don't figure out that puzzle, we've got some big problems coming at us.
We do. And I will tell you, Joan, I had the pleasure of having 2 weeks ago Dr. Pierre Theriault here on the show, and we talked about it not being an epidemic, but it's pandemic. And it will crush our economy and it will crush our society if we don't figure out a way to delay or eliminate the onset of Alzheimer's.
Correct. And the work that Dr. Ryman and Dr. Theriault are doing, and the amazing things that they're doing, not just to discover the drugs that can hopefully push back an Alzheimer's diagnosis if genetically it's coming, or drugs that can help deal with some of the symptoms that affect all of us, but also some amazing resources for families to help them deal with this until we figure out how to solve the problem.
And you're so right. I mean, the new models of care that they're developing, and the support groups, and he and Heather Mulder were talking about some of the stuff that they are doing here in our community, whether it be with the Desert Botanical Institute or other places where families are able to get together and really not so much talk about the disease, but be together and be with the families. And you don't know this, Joan, and we're really just talking about it, but at Cypress 2.5 years ago, we created a dementia program.
Great.
And we have evidence-based information through this 2.5 years, through some of the work that we're doing, that we're able to keep families together 7 to 8 months longer before they have to get placed. And in the Alzheimer's dementia world, that's an eternity.
It is.
If we can give them that much more time. But we're racing against the clock, and it's not really looking good right now, but it is looking good that we have this consortium that you just described. And the greatest thing about this consortium is that it's open source. And that's the thing that just blows me away, is that nobody is protecting what they're working on.
No.
They're all sharing, whether it be in New York, whether it be in California, whether it be in Italy or France, England. I mean, we're in a race against this, and we're all working together.
Because there's nothing more precious than our memories.
Right.
And that's the one thing you never want to lose.
Well, you know what's interesting? One of the things that Dr. Terrio talked about, because we were promoting an event that they did at the Valley of the Sun JCC, and that was on the 31st of January. We had 225 people show up for this.
That's great.
It was incredible. And not only was it sponsored by the JCC, but Belmont Village was sponsoring it. The Alzheimer's Association was sponsoring it. Cypress was sponsoring it, as was the Banner Alzheimer's Institute. And one of the things that, we oftentimes forget, and I have the pleasure of going on Sunday to go see the Hamilton show.
Oh, wow.
So I'm really excited about it, and I think my wife's even more excited. But when you really look back to the Revolutionary War, and you look at back in the 1700s, early 1800s, we didn't live as long as we do today. And Dr. Terrio was talking about that. I mean, I think the average lifespan was about 36.
Yep.
And, we are living much longer.
Double.
And we're, having issues as it relates to living much longer. But we can, because of modern science and technology and innovation, figure out a way to make aging much more comfortable and much more desirable and much more, as I talk about on the show, successful.
It's not just about living longer. It's about living better.
Right. Definitely living better. So as we get ready to close this second segment, because we got a lot of stuff to cover in the third and fourth, if people wanted to learn more about what you guys are doing, where do they find it?
So there are two easy websites to remember. So for AZ Bio, it's AZ, just like Arizona, and then bio, bio.org. And we talked about that $200 million goal for the Healthcare Impact Foundation so that we can get more cures out in Arizona. And that website is azhcif.org.
Those are great websites. And how about events? Do you have anything coming up that we can...
Oh, well, we've got Arizona Bioscience Week, and that'll be coming up in October. There'll be a whole week full of events. There'll be meetings for family offices and people that want to invest in innovation. There'll be the AZ Bio Awards. There'll be a huge party. And my favorite part, we'll have students from all over the states showing us their science projects, and they're the researchers of the future. They're going to solve some of these problems.
High school students, college students?
High school, community college, university, and even medical students.
Well,
cool stuff.
It is cool stuff. And, you talk about all of those places, and I really think that we oftentimes lose sight of the fact that Dr. Crow and what he's done at ASU is nothing short of phenomenal. Academically, I mean, they are tops in so many different areas. And one that I got a chance to experience during the Aging 2.0 Global Startup Challenge that you were a judge for is that when we announced our awards, we merged them over with the Arizona Venture Devils contest, which was being held with the engineering school, part of the entrepreneurship program. And those young minds, there were 800 kids there. Yeah. They were pitching ideas and concepts that the ASU Foundation was funding, which I really think is phenomenal that we have this kind of stuff here in our backyard. 20 years ago, we didn't have this stuff, and it's only going to get better.
Absolutely.
And it's so cool that you're on the front line. And
I'm having fun. It's keeping me young.
And it's cool that I've got you here in the studio. So we're gonna take it out with a little Jason Mraz. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth. I got Joan Koerber-Walker. She's from AZ Bio. Stick around. It's halftime here. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
President Trump expressing sympathy for his fired aide Rob Porter, accused of domestic violence by two ex-wives. Caitlin Collins on hand at the White House, where Trump described Porter as sad.
He wished Porter well. He found out about the allegations against him recently. He remarked that it was sad, but added that Porter has denied these allegations, and that is something that people should keep in mind.
Mr. Trump making no reference to the victims of Porter's alleged abuse. A judge in San Diego hearing arguments today from several groups opposed to President Trump's border wall. The Associated Press is reporting one police officer has died and two deputies are in critical condition after a shooting near Atlanta in Henry County. The shooter is reported to be dead. dead. It happened in Locust Grove, 40 miles southeast of Atlanta. Another roller coaster ride on Wall Street today. The Dow was up 300 points, then it dropped about 500 points, now making strong gains and pushing back into positive territory. The Nasdaq and the S&P 500 following the Dow right along on the ride. I'm Michael Toscano.
Geico presents eyewitness interviews with inanimate objects.
This is Brian Bruno live on the scene of a recently flooded basement, here to describe the event, a tube sock.
So I'm curled up in a cozy pile of whites when the washing machine suddenly starts shimmying and shaking. Next thing I know, we're standing in 4 inches of water.
Did you help clean up?
Sure, but I'm just one sock.
A tube sock can't help you with a flooded basement, but the Geico Insurance Agency can help you get covered for personal property damage. Call Geico to see how affordable homeowners insurance can be.
If your old washer won't, and your old dryer doesn't, the Home Depot's about to make your laundry day with up to 35% off appliance special buys, like the Electrolux high-efficiency front-load washer and electric dryer, now just $4.98 each, and 50% off matching pedestals. For guaranteed energy-efficient performance and plenty of change in your pockets, come to the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only while supplies last. Gas dryer extra. See store for details. Valid through February 28th.
If it's your time to build your wealth or your time to reap the rewards, the place to find out the right way to do it is here. Money Radio.
Every morning at 8 a.m., get timely market updates, breaking news on market movers, and strong analysis on financial topics to help you plan, invest, insure, retire, and stay retired. Don't miss Mastering Money every morning at 8 a.m., Monday through Friday. Hear best-selling author and wealth manager Steve Jurich, along with his great lineup of financial experts, CPAs, and attorneys. Mastering Money now at 8, right here on Money Radio, AM 1510 and 105.3 FM. See you there.
Hello, Bill Tatro here. In all my years in radio, I said the same thing. Whether it's politics or finance, history or economics, it's all about money. I now produce an insightful newsletter called It's All About Money, and I'm presenting an exclusive offer to Money Radio listeners. Go to BillTatro.com/moneyradio to get my newsletter for over half off the regular price and get regular content that will educate, inform, and may even be fun. Go to BillTatro.com/moneyradio for over half off. Do it today.
If you're struggling to pay or haven't been making your student loan payments, listen carefully to this urgent alert. Have you been out of school for 10 or more years and you're still making your student loan payments? Are your student loans past due or even in default? Can't go back to school because of an old student loan problem? We can help you if you qualify. Your student loans can be taken out of default. We can stop the wage garnishments, stop the collection calls, and stop the seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and see if we can help you reduce your student loan payments. One quick 10-minute call could solve them right now. So call the Student Loan Helpline now. 877-801-8832, 877-801-8832, 877-801-8832, 877-801-8832. This is a fee-based document preparation service to help you access free government programs. Call for complete details, not available in all states.
It's all the genuineness of an In-N-Out burger times 2. The In-N-Out Double Double. Double meat, double cheese, double fresh. Come taste the difference at In-N-Out Burger.
Bruce Vail with Your Money Now. Outdoor goods retailer LL Bean is making a change to its longtime returns policy, which lets customers return items with no time limits. The retailer said it now will let customers return items for up to 1 year after purchase if they have a receipt or proof of purchase. For years, LL Bean had kept its returns policy in place even as other retailers changed theirs. But now the company says it will make a change as a small but growing number of customers have been abusing the policy. After 100 years of family ownership, jerky and sausage maker Oberto reportedly is looking for a buyer. Oberto Brands is owned by 5 members of the Oberto family. They brought in an outsider to run the company 3 years ago and position it for the next century. On Wall Street, stocks have turned positive. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is now up 95 points. The Nasdaq Composite is ahead 37. That's Your Money Now.
Prices are for base buildings only. Do not include windows, doors, or accessories. Stocks are soaring, and construction spending across America has been on the rise. If you've been waiting to build, the time is now. Whether you want to expand your business or you want to build a new garage, call General Steel today. Our metal building kits bolt together quickly and are custom designed for your needs. For example, a 40 by 60 is a great space for an auto shop, RV and camper storage, or 3-car garage. Call General Steel today. It's on sale now for under $25,000. Or imagine a 50 by 100 clear span building for under $40,000. Suitable for the booming warehousing industry, manufacturing facilities, or a church sanctuary. That's 5,000 square feet for $8 or less per foot. Call 866-95-STEEL. That's 866-95-STEEL. With construction and high demand, this special pricing won't last long. Call to lock your building price today at 866-95-STEEL. That's 866-95-STEEL. 866-957-8335.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and if you're just tuning in, I've got Joan Koerber-Walker. She's the president and CEO from Arizona Bioindustry Association, otherwise known as AZ Bio. We're in our third segment, and if you missed those first two, go up to our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the media button, drop down arrow to the third one, and you can catch this radio show in the first two segments and the next two segments. In probably a couple hours, we'll have it all loaded up there. You missed a lot because Joan was really talking about how this community in the last 20 years has really, really changed. All for the better. We're doing some phenomenal things here. And one of the things that Joan put out there was their website, and that is azbio.org. azbio.org. I just want you to know, Joan, I just went to your website, and one, it is chock full of all kinds of great information. But I'll tell you what, you have in there something that's called the Healthcare Impact Foundation. Mm-hmm. I want you to tell us a little bit about this.
So the Healthcare Impact Foundation was created, and this is so cool, at a dining room table in Ahwatukee.
No way.
So over the last 20 years, we've seen amazing things happen, and we've grown the number of companies here in Arizona at one of the fastest rates in the whole country for life sciences and healthcare. But the number of employees hasn't grown as quickly. And the reason for that is many of these great new entrepreneurs with great ideas, they don't have the funding that they need to grow the business to the point where, number one, the cures are getting out there faster, and number two, that they can ramp up their hiring. So the state has done a lot to support this. You know, we talked before about, $18 billion has gone in the first 20 years. Well, the state of Arizona approved last session, $1 billion in new research infrastructure at our universities.
We're talking $1 billion.
$1 billion with a B.
Yeah, we're not talking the Washington for our country. We're talking right here.
Here in Arizona to build research institutes like the Biodesign Institute and Bio5 in Tucson and the Cancer Center we just talked about. But if we aren't supporting the young companies that are taking the ideas out of those places and helping them turn into real products that help real people, we're not going to get the job done.
Right.
So we had to figure out how to solve that problem. We couldn't ask the government to do it because they just gave us $1 billion.
Right.
So the Healthcare Impact Foundation is the people of Arizona coming together. And each of us can give a little bit, and you can find out about it at, again, azhcif.org, and it explains why we're doing it, explains how we're doing it. But that little idea that started at a dining room table in Ahwatukee, Arizona has signed on to raise $200 million with an M.
So you shared with me in the first segment the whole story about the Mallorys and their commitment through Dr. Jeffrey Trent to raise $100 million. So
they did.
So now you're talking about doubling down.
And now we're doubling down. And because think about it, the things that are happening at TGen right now, they're working on tests for Lyme disease, and they're working on tests and different ways to help patients that have valley fever. And if we don't have ways to turn those great discoveries into companies, how will they help people?
Right.
So it's our job as a community to figure out how we get this done. And it doesn't matter if you're on a fixed income and you just want to give $5 to say you were part of this. Or if you've got lots of blessings and you want to give more. But together we can hit that goal and provide early stage funding for great ideas that will make life better in Arizona and around the world forever.
So we're talking about the government, the state of Arizona, coming up with $1 billion. We're talking about through philanthropy doubling down $200 million.
Yep.
We're talking about, to use your vernacular, getting the job done. And for me, not only finding new innovations and research and ways to eliminate some of these horrible things, like you said, about Lyme disease and cancers, but for me as a citizen of our great state of Arizona, we're going to create jobs.
That's right.
We're going to create jobs and really, really spurn this economy.
You talked about Michael Crow, and I'm a big fan of Michael Crow, and I got my MBA at ASU and W.P. Carey School. There's your commercial, Michael. And so, but right now in our sciences departments at ASU and U of A and NAU and GCU, we are training brilliant young minds. And then we're exporting them to other places because we need to have the companies here so we can keep our kids here. And as a grandma, I want to keep my grandkids here too.
So Healthcare Impact Foundation Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
You told me at the break there's a bigger vision.
So
what is that vision?
So this little idea, okay, this problem's not unique to Arizona. And so we were in Seattle and we were talking to people at the Paul Allen Institute. Paul had a prior career at a little company called Microsoft.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah. So, and Seattle has the same problem. So they've signed on and they're going to raise an endowment just like Arizona is. And there are 5 other states right now from coast to coast that are looking at this as a solution, and countries. We're actually talking to groups in Brisbane, Australia, and Singapore, and Geneva. But they got money in Switzerland.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't have money going into their life science companies, and we're going to help them figure out how to do that. So that little idea that had a seed in Arizona is sprouting up all over the world.
I love it. And the greatest thing about it, Joan, and getting to know you and really becoming a friend of yours, you're helping drive that. And I would imagine that that's a part of something you're going to be involved in, correct?
I am on the Global Board of Trustees.
I love it.
And that dining room table in Ahwatukee was my dining room table.
I love it. I want to play a little game. And James, if you could cue it up, I want to kind of give do this game, and I'll kind of set the stage for our 4th segment.
Cool.
Healthcare Jeopardy. Right here on Health Futures. It's the first time. Thank you, Joan, for bringing Healthcare Jeopardy to the table. Okay, so the first answer, 10 billion.
I know. 10 billion is, the question would be, how many people will be on the planet by the year 2060?
26. How many are on there now?
About 7.
About 7. Wow. 10 billion. Okay, here's the second answer. And what would the question be? 1 billion. That means 1 in 8 by 2030.
That's the number of people that are around the world that are going to be over the age of 65. And as we all know, as we get older, things just don't work like they used to.
Exactly. And like we said in the last segment, back in the revolutionary days, we only lived to about 35, 36 years old. So, yes. How about this one? Number 3, 4.4 trillion globally. And that's dollars. $4.4 trillion globally.
What would be the savings if we could reduce cancer deaths by 10% per year.
Holy cow. Wow. I got two more that I got to get through before the segment. That is an amazing figure. 10%? All right. Fourth one. $367 billion.
What would we save if we could push back Alzheimer's by 5 years just in the United States?
Incredible. And the last one. $3.3 trillion and 17.9%.
That is what the United States spent on healthcare in 2016, and the other would be, what is the percentage of our GDP?
So 18% of our GDP spent on healthcare. Wow. And how much of that is spent like in the last 6 months of someone's life?
A large percentage.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in the fourth segment, because I advocate, obviously, comfort and, I advocate palliative care and hospice, not necessarily heroic means when they don't really drive it.
It's important that we always give the patient and the doctor the ability to make the best choice for the patient.
I love it. You're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock, and you got the WHO taking us out. How about that? It's Friday, February 9th. Thank you, James. I've got Joan Koerber-Walker from AZ Bio here. We're 3 segments down. We got one more to go. I really enjoyed playing Jeopardy with you. We'll talk a little bit more about this when we get back.
All right, thanks.
You got it.
There's a wealth management firm that offers a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Think it doesn't exist? Think again.
Hi, I'm Mo Ansari, president of Compact Asset Management. When you start a new relationship with Compact, we'll create your customized investment portfolio and financial plan dedicated to help you reach your goals. Try us out for a year. If you're not happy for any reason, you'll get all of the management and maintenance fee that you paid refunded. This is our 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Dial pound 250 on your cell phone and use the keyword Talk to Mo to find out more. Again, from your cell phone, dial pound 250, keyword Talk to Mo. Satisfaction guarantee doesn't apply to fees and commissions charged by third parties for such things as insurance products or mutual fund redemptions. It also doesn't apply to any market losses which might occur in an account. For additional information regarding this guarantee, please see the disclosure brochure available at the time you enroll or upon request.
Compact Asset Management is a registered investment advisor. Funds custodian, Fidelity Institutional Wealth Services, member FINRA SIPC.
Darren College, a former NFL Super Bowl champion, signed the most important contract of his life to serve in the Army National Guard.
I've had a lot of military in my family. It's a big part of what my family's done for a long time. I want to go out there and make a difference. I didn't find that working behind a desk, so for me it was a pretty easy decision to make. And then the opportunity to serve my community and serve my country was just icing on the cake.
To learn how to be part of the Army National Guard, log on to nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the Arizona Army National Guard. Aired by the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
My mom's a breast cancer survivor. The United Breast Cancer Foundation saved her life, and they need your help so they can continue saving more women's lives. Help them by donating your car. They'll provide fast, free 24-hour pickup, and you receive a charitable tax deduction. They take cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs, running or not. Call 24 hours a day, 800-475-6040. Your donation could literally save women's lives. Call today, 800-475-6040. 800-475-6040.
A bad cold and flu season is upon us. The main difference between them is the flu brings a fever. Be prepared with the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer, backed by more than 70 clinical studies.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and if you're just tuning in, I got Joan Koerber-Walker here in the studio, and I got James doing 2 Bruce Springsteen songs. That is really awesome. Thank you. Thank you, James. It is Friday here in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're coming at you live from the Money Radio Studios, 1510 AM, 105.3 FM, and if you missed the first 3 segments, go out to our website at cypresshomecare.com. Hit the media button up on the top. Third button down is the radio show. You missed 3 extraordinary segments, and the last segment, in our third segment, it was the first ever. We played Jeopardy!
That's right.
And we really learned a lot about what's going on. And as far as learning, we had, and I talked about at the top of the hour, some of the changes in healthcare that have just happened over the last 60 days. And, and just last week, I talked about, Warren Buffett with Berkshire Hathaway and J.P. Morgan and Amazon coming together, which is really a big deal. And I talked about CMS now authorizing Medicare Advantage plans to pay for services that companies like Cypress do provide. So the landscape is changing by the minute. And speaking about the minute, Joan Koerber-Walker, you were up late last night. So
I was.
You were up really late, and because your industry is impacted so much by politics, you were glued to that television to find out what was going to happen about the government shutdown. Can you share with us some of the things that happened? Because not everybody's had a chance to read through that bill.
Well, if you've never read a 700-page bill, it's not exactly, easy reading.
That would have put me to sleep, by the way.
Well, the nice thing is we live in Arizona, so I actually had it playing on my laptop by the pool. And I just sat there and cleared my emails and listened as they went on and on and on. But there were a couple of things that came out of that bill that were surprises for people. One is that the Independent Payment Advisory Boards, or IPAB. Now, you may not really have heard that too often, but you might have heard them talking during the Obamacare days of
the death panel.
That's right. And so it was a part of the Affordable Care Act that was designed so that if money started getting tight and they had to make decisions on who would get what treatments, there was a panel that would do that. The people didn't like that.
No, I don't think so.
And as of this morning, when President Trump signed off the bill, it's gone. So there is no more IPAB. And they also moved up the timeline on something else that our seniors aren't real big fans of. You know what that is.
The donut hole.
That's right. So the donut hole was supposed to close in 2020. And this bill that was signed by the president this morning gives them a timeline to get it closed by 2019.
I can hear the fans applauding right now. I know that just from my father about getting stuck in that donut hole. So now the donut hole doesn't exist.
Now, it doesn't, well, we're still in 2018.
No,
so
I'm talking about 2019.
Have it.
Yes,
2019, yes. It goes away. But, one of the things that's interesting is, do you know why they created the donut hole in the first place?
I don't know.
So when they created Medicare Part D and we started to get payment plans for drugs, which we didn't have with Medicare before, remember?
Right.
And so the concern was that Medicare Part D would just go totally out of control. And the seniors would now have like happy days and be getting everything. And so the reason they put the donut hole in was they set it at a limit so your basic stuff, your Lipitor and stuff like that, would cover. But if you started getting into the really fancy stuff, or you weren't using generics like you should or things like that, that the spending would go out of control. So the donut hole was there to put an artificial rein on our seniors. Now, when we look at Medicare Part D, it is the only government program I know of that consistently comes in under budget. Our seniors have been responsible in their spending.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a good reason for the donut hole to start to go away faster.
Well, and I know that, I work in the field of caring for seniors. The medication piece is so vital to them. And, we are working so hard, and having people like Jamie Dimon and Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, and Amazon to help bring down the cost, because we have seniors out there that are choosing not to get their prescriptions filled so they can have a meal. It's ludicrous. Right. We have to figure out a way to make pharma drugs more affordable.
Right. Now, what they're talking about doing, what Warren and Jamie and that whole gang that has come together is talking about doing, is actually focused on the private payer market, not the Medicaid market. And so you've heard about companies that self-insure.
Yes.
Right? So Bank of America is the largest self-insurer in healthcare already.
Did not know that.
Berkshire Hathaway obviously has lots of companies. Many of them are self-insured. So what they're looking at is how can they come together and create a new model that will make healthcare more efficient in the private payer market. That will help stabilize our healthcare markets. And if we can stabilize our healthcare markets, we can bring the cost down for everybody.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And so much ends up coming from the private sector that affects all of us.
It's the American way.
I love it. And, you know, I want to close our segment talking about a couple bills that are here in Arizona. I mean, we've talked about the big budget and shutdown in Washington, D.C., but we got a couple bills. One you shared with me, and I'd like for you to share with our listening audience, and I'll share the other one with you.
Okay, so there are a couple of bills going through right now. One that I think is very cool is House Bill 2558. That's 2558. And this is a bill that is being sponsored by industry and working with the Department of Health Services to create a new web resource to help you learn how to get rid of the drugs you don't need anymore. So we've all had those prescriptions that are sitting on our shelf and we can't flush them down the toilet. We can't put them in the landfill. Where do we take them? This is a new law that will help make it easier to find that information. And yours?
And mine is HB 2087, and it is sponsored by Heather Carter, and she's head of the Health and Human Services Committee for the House. By the way, she's running for Senate coming this year, and AARP, and it's $1,000 tax credit for those family caregivers that are making the ultimate sacrifice. I like to refer to them as our unsung heroes that are not working to stay at home and help their loved ones. And this $1,000 tax credit will help them for provisioning services like mine, buying medical equipment, maybe even buying prescription drugs. But it is a tax credit. So we're hoping, got our fingers crossed, that it'll be heard in the House next week. And it'll be voted on, and we can make this bill a law.
Well, maybe you and some of your listeners should come down and sit in the gallery, and we can ask Heather Carter to recognize you when you're there.
I'd love to do that, and I probably will. It's hard to believe, Joan, we're done.
I know.
I need to have you back. We have so much more to cover. I've got a whole list of questions, so I plan on having you back. Don't be surprised if I call you.
Let's do it in the fall when we're getting ready for Arizona Bio Week, and we can tell your listeners all about it.
You got it. You've been listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. Joan Koerber-Walker from AZ Bio, thank you. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. We'll be back next week.
Bye-bye.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress HomeCare Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
Bill Gunderson's nationwide Best Stocks radio show is now on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. Every morning from 9 to 10 a.m., professional money manager Bill Gunderson will talk about the economy, markets, and the best stocks now. Bill Gunderson is also the inventor of the Best Stocks Now app and the writer of the weekly Best Stocks Now newsletter. If you like to invest in the markets, this is the show for you. You will not want to miss one episode. Visit GundersonCapital.com for more info. That's GundersonCapital.com.
Money Radio 1510
and 105.3 FM.
KFNN Mesa, Phoenix. Well, the market's up 25, or the Dow's up 20 points at 23,880. The S&P 500's up 6 at 2587. The Nasdaq gained 23 at 6,800. Gold is down $3 at $13.15 an ounce, and oil's down $2 at $58 a barrel.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news.